Today we're going to be talking about the object-orientedness of programming. There are two types of programming. There is the object-oriented and there is the functional. So we're going to be talking about the object-oriented. In object-oriented, also known as OOP for object-oriented programming, there are things called classes and structs. These classes and structs define templates for which objects can be created. So I'll explain this using a cat, believe it or not. So a cat has attributes and methods. So do classes and structs. That's what a class and struct is. So for a cat, the attributes could be its color, size, or owner. The methods could be it runs, sneaks, meows, and eats. So we'll use these attributes and methods to make different objects that have similar properties. So we could have one cat that has orange fur and one that has black fur. So they have the same, they have fur, they both have fur, but they're different colors. Alright, so here are a few programming languages that use the concept of object-orientedness. And let's go ahead and jump into the syntax. So here I just have a basic program set up. I'm including the string and IOStream library, and I'm using the standard namespace. So here is the syntax for classes and structs. We define whether it's a class or struct. The only difference is that the class will assume everything's private if not specified, and the struct will do the opposite and assume everything is public if not specified. So here I give the name of the class that I want, and then I define the public section with a colon. And everything under here will be public. So we have the public section, and the difference between public and private is that public is what it sounds like. All the other functions and areas of your code will be able to access everything in that section, whereas the private is just local to inside the class. Alright, so we have our constructor. A constructor takes that class when we create a new object and does stuff. In my case, I didn't want it to do anything, so I just created the constructor and did nothing with it. Alright, we also have things called destructures. It's what it sounds like. It basically destroys an object in a certain manner that you specify. Alright, and then here are our methods. Notice how they're in our public section so we can access them. You can also have methods in the private section, but it's not as common. We have one method. It's our run method, so we're going to fetch the name from the private section, and we can do this because we are in the class right now. So we say the name is running, and then we end the line. Alright, and then we have things called setters and getters. Since our variables are private right now, we have to have a function that sets them and retrieves them. So we have two for each of these variables. We have a getter and a setter. So as you can see, for get name, we just return whatever the name is. Same with the color, and then for set name, we pass in a parameter and we set the name equal to that parameter. Alright, so that's the basic syntax of how these classes and structs work. I could throw in struct here and it would work the exact same, but I'm going to leave it as class. Okay, so here in the driver function, we have declared one object of type cat. I've called it cat1, and I've called that set name function with the string George. So I was able to call this because it's in the public section. And then I do the same with the color and set its color as black. And then I print the line, so I get the name using that get name function, and I say it says hi. Alright, and then I call that method inside the function on cat1. And that'll print the name, and it'll say is running. Alright, and then I do the same thing just to prove that classes are basically a template. I've defined another object of type cat as well, and then I've set a different name and different color, and I've done the same code here, and you'll see that it prints out the different attributes and methods. Alright, so here we go. Let's go ahead and hop in our command prompt. I've saved this and I'm in the directory that I need to be. So I'm going to call G++ and call the O flag for object, and tell the compiler what I want to name my executable, and then I'll call the file name, and then it will compile. Alright, here we are. We'll go ahead and show you that it actually compiled successfully. There it is. And we'll go ahead and call this executable. And it says George says hi, George is running, Bob says hi, and Bob is running. So you can tell these are two different objects and they use the same class. Alright, so that's a brief introduction to classes and structs. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.